Hi everyone. So this is what we're going to be working on. Go ahead and switch over. Hello. So my name is Kathleen. I've been painting for a very long time. I went to school for painting, fine arts. So I got my bachelor's and my master's. And I really enjoy watercolor. Watercolor is my favorite. Let's see. But today we're actually going to be using acrylics, which is a second. I like to do simple, easy drawings and turn them into something that looks like it took a long time, but it's actually a lot simpler than you think. So these water droplets, all they are we do the background, and then we're going to go ahead and make our circles by tracing any circular thing you have. So maybe cups, tapes, any jars. So we have our circles down, and then we're going to go ahead and start from there. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that camera back around, and then I can go through the supplies we need. All right, so you can see I have mine on a little canvas. I say it's about 8 by 10. So we would need, I got a canvas right here. Nice little canvas. You're going to need a bigger brush for the background. If you want, you can get a square brush like this. You use a bigger brush for the background so you can cover more areas. And it'll be a little faster. And a smaller round brush. So this will be good for outlining our circles and putting out the little details. So that's why we need a smaller brush. So you got the big brush and the small brush. Next, like I said before, circular items. So in the example I have, we're going to be doing 3 different sizes. So what I was thinking is I can do my big circle with this big tape, my medium circle, and then use the smaller inside circle for the small circle. So that's how I got my 3 circles for the water drops. And then comes the paint. So like I said, acrylic paint. I have my palette here, my water cup, my paper towel, and so the colors. I'm going to need white, a nice bright green, almost like Kelly green, a nice bright blue, and we're also going to need black. And a nice clean palette helps too, so you can see all the colors mixed up. So really quick, I'm going to go ahead and go over what we're going to do and what the process is, and then I can run through the whole process again, nice and slow. So like I said, we're going to be using our bigger brush for the background first. So we're going to mix up this color. and do the whole background. We're actually going to mix it with water so it will dry a little bit faster and spread evenly. And then once we get the background done, we are going to switch over to our circular items. We're going to need a pencil for that one. We're going to line up where they're going to be drawn. The middle one. Once we have our circles done, we're going to make where our shadows will be. And we're going to make our shines. And then once we have everything mapped out, we're going to go ahead and start with our round brush here. And I like to start with the dark first, so we're going to mix that color first. I'm going to outline each water droplet. We're going to do the shadow for each one. And then the next shade, so it'd be this area right here. We're going to mix that color up for each one. So we're basically, whatever we do with the first one, we're just going to repeat it to the other two. And then you can see here, this background is the same color as this background, right? Because it's water and you can see right through it. So that's why we do our background first, all one color, to make it a little bit easier on ourselves. So we already have the middle tone because it's going to be our background. And then we're going to mix this next shade that's a white with our background color. We're already going to have mixed up. And then the final is the white around the side for each one. And then the white shine. And that'll do it. So, first step, we're going to have our canvas horizontal. I'm going to use our big brush. Make sure it's nice and clean. Go ahead and grab my palette so you guys can see me mixing the color. There's not enough room to have my example showing. I like to show my example while I work, but there's not enough room. So I will be bringing the example in and out of the frame so we can see what we're working with. All right, so I have my clean canvas. I'm going to go ahead and mix that background color with the light bright blue. A little bit of that bright green. Just a little bit of the white. Each time I'm just adding the corner of my brush. Mix that in. And like I said before, a little bit easier to spread if you add the water. So that looks about right. About the same color there. So you're going to want to mix a good amount of this background just so we have it for later and we have enough for the whole entire background. Add a little bit more water if you need to. All right, and you can begin anywhere on the canvas as long as you just cover the entire background. So it's nice and thin. That way it dries a little bit faster for us. And go all the way to the edges. So you can see I start from one side and go all the way off to the edge. That way you have less brush strokes showing. You want it all one solid color. That looks about good. Just gonna go all the way to the top now. All right, so now I gotta let it dry. Now while it's drying, I'm gonna wash off this brush really good because that'll be the last time you use that brush. So you wanna make sure it's nice and clean while we wait for the canvas to dry. I'm gonna put the paint aside. You can go ahead and grab your pencil. We'll need our pencil next and our circles. So whatever you found around the house, maybe it's a cup or a jar, water bottle, anything round. Make sure that your canvas is completely dry before you put that object down, so then you don't have to go ahead and wash that paint off. So I'm just gonna wait a couple more minutes. All right, so it's still a little bit damp. If you have a hair dryer at home, you can go ahead and blow dry it. So I'm just checking, so you can use your finger if you want and don't mind getting paint on your finger. You can hold it on an angle and it still has that shine. It's still a little too wet. Should be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and just place my circles where I think it would look good. So I have a big one off to the side, medium one, and then a small one towards the bottom corner. So I got my big one placed. I'm gonna go ahead and take my pencil, hold this down, go all the way around. There we are. So don't worry if it's not perfect. It's not picking up very well in the video, but as long as you just trace it with your pencil and you can see it, all that you need. So second one, about there. Trace that all the way around by holding the tape or the object down and running your pencil along the sides. Perfect. And now the little guy. There we go. It's a nice and dark one. So if you guys want to do more than 3, you go ahead and do that. As long as it fits on your canvas. There we go. All right, so now I have my water droplets all mapped out where they're going to be. Next, I'm going to go ahead and still with my pencil, draw out those shadows. So I'm going to have my light source coming from the right corner, going down on an angle. So each circle is going to have kind of like a moon sliver next to it. So you can see it's a little tiny shadow. And so I'm going to do that with the next 2. And you see I'm kind of just sketching them out. It does not have to be perfect. You kind of just mimic the same round of our circles. The little guy here. All right, so now they all have shadows. Next will be our white shines. So here I have the shines are this white circle and the little white circle. Each water droplet is going to have 2. So we got a big one and a smaller one. So over up on the right side of each water droplet, because that's where our light source is, I'm gonna go ahead and draw one circle, a smaller circle next to it. Next. And again, these don't have to be perfect either. We are just mapping them out right now. So when we add our paint, we know where our shines are going to be. that is what we have so far. It might look a little silly right now. We are done with our pencil, so I can go ahead and put that aside. I'm going to be grabbing my small round brush. I'm going to pull over my paint again. So next we are going to go ahead and mix this dark, almost black. It's got that dark green. That's going to be our shadow and our dark side. So here I have my bright green. Put that down. I have my bright blue. And instead of adding white, we're going to go ahead and add a little bit of black. Mix that up, see what it looks like. That looks about right. So it's going to look a little dark on the screen. But we have about, I'd say it looks more like a dark turquoise, dark green. Added a little bit more blue. If you would like, I always like to add a little bit of water. That way, when I put it on the canvas, it'll glide nice and smooth. So first we're going to go ahead and outline each circle. I'm going to start with the big one. And again, it does not have to be perfect. Just go ahead and take your time. So I got my first water droplet outlined. Now we'll go ahead and do the medium one. And I'm taking my time. I'm using the very edge of my paintbrush, the smallest point. Go ahead and outline the third. The good thing about acrylic paint, you just paint right over it if you mess up. Watercolor is a different story. All right, so you can see it is not perfect, but that is okay because we're going to go ahead and layer colors next to our lines. Just get it as round as you can get it. All right, so next is our shadows. So same color. Go ahead, if you want to outline it first and then fill it in, you just want to go ahead and take that brush and fill in the whole shadow at one time, whatever's easiest for you. So I got my first shadow done. Grab some more paint, move on to the second one. Do the small one. All right, and then at this time, if you want to just look at the whole painting and kind of try and fix some areas, maybe they need to be a little bit rounder. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back in the camera. So we have our shadows done. We are going to go ahead and do the dark side of each water droplet with our same color. So grabbing the same color, dipped my paintbrush in some water so it's nice and thin. And we're just going to go ahead and go on this side, inside the bubble. And we're just going to go about halfway. So it's a little bit lighter because I used some of the water. You can go ahead and go around your shines like I did, or you can go ahead and just paint right over them because the acrylic paint can go on top of each other and layer up. So it doesn't matter if you went over them, you can always go back over with some white. So what I'm going to do next, now that it's still pretty wet, I'm just going to dab my brush on the paper towel and take the very edge and kind of just go in circles with my brush and kind of blend it to the background. Some of my edges aren't as dark as I'd like it to, so I'm just running that color over the very edge. Oh, it's nice and dark. And this one. Just doing some more blending with my wet brush. All right, so they're starting to look like water droplets. I do see some of my edges. I'm going to have to clean that up with white, but that is fixable. All right, so for our next step, we're going to go ahead and do our light side now. So we're going to mix our background color with a little bit of white. So we already have that background color still. If you ran out, it's just a little bit of that bright blue, green, and white. So since I already have it, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more white. So it's nice and light. That looks about right. And I'm just going to go ahead and cover the whole bottom section now. So we can round that out. kind of blend it in. Looks like I need it to be a little bit lighter, so I'm just going to mix that color again. So it's green, a little bit of blue. And white. There we go. So I'm just going to fill the next side. Go a little bit towards the middle. I'm still leaving that background color. Kind of mix it in. The little guy. So this is where we kind of round out our water droplet as best as you can. If it lost its shape, if not, then you are good to go. All right, so now that we have our dark, our middle tone, our background, and our lighter green, next will be just plain white. So I'm going to wash off my brush. It's nice and clean. Dab it on the paper towel. That looks good. The white. And in the example here, I have it nice, clean, white line on our light side. So right next to that shadow. So that shadow really pops. So again, we're going to, whenever we do the first guy, we're going to do the next two. So I have my white. Very carefully, I'm going to go ahead and do the edge with just white. You might have to keep grabbing the white just to make sure you have enough on there. There we go. Very nice. Now the second one. So again, I'm using the very edge of my brush. Going along about halfway. This little guy. All right, it is looking pretty good. So went ahead and cleaned my brush off again. I'm going to go ahead and grab just black. And inside my water bubble, I'm going to go ahead and just go along the edge on the right side. Just make that a little bit darker. So I did it to the big one. I'm going to go ahead and do it the middle. And the last little guy. And there we go. Made a little mess. And I gotta clean that up. All right. So all that is left to do is our white shine. So we have those white circles on our dark side of the bubble. So cleaned off my brush. Go ahead, dip in the pure white and fill in my circles. Little tiny dots. Again, go ahead and take your time so they are nice and round. We got a little one and a bigger one. All right, there we have it. Clean my brush off. Don't forget to sign it on the corner. If you would like, you can also do your edges of your canvas. So you can paint that this nice green color. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and set that up next to my example here. If you'd like, you can go ahead and make the background a little bit more interesting by adding more brush strokes. Or you can just leave it plain, a little simpler. It looks pretty good. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch the camera around again. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the water droplets, painting. If you have any questions for this video, go ahead and contact me. Let's see. So my office hours are going to go ahead and be listed on the Artship website. And I'd say You guys can contact me on Thursdays between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. So right around lunchtime. And yeah, I think I covered everything. So thank you for watching my video, and I will see you next time.